My name is Ethan, and for 17 years my world was small and gray. It was a world of averted gazes, of whispers that followed me down the hallways like a second shadow. I was the fat kid, the easy target, the punchline to a joke I was never in on. But even in a world like that, a single ray of light can feel like the sun. For me, that light was Maya. Maya was different, or so I believed. She had a smile that could disarm armies and a kindness that seemed to shine from within. When her friends would snicker, she would offer a small, apologetic smile. When I dropped my books, she was the one who helped me pick them up. She was the star of the school play, the top of her class, everything I wasn't, and I was hopelessly, pathetically in love with her. So when her friends Chloe and Jessica came to me, giggling and conspiratorial, and told me that Maya felt the same way, I believed them. They said she was just too shy to say it herself. They told me to confess, to make a grand gesture. They suggested the old auditorium stage after school. They said she'd be waiting. And like a fool, I prepared. I wrote a speech, a clumsy, heartfelt declaration of everything she meant to me. I stood there on that dusty stage, a single spotlight making me the center of a world I didn't know was watching. I saw a silhouette in the back where they told me Maya would be. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drum solo of hope and fear. I took a deep breath and I poured out my heart to a shadow. I finished my speech, my voice trembling, my hands shaking. I said her name, Maya, and then the lights came on, all of them. And the auditorium wasn't empty. It was filled with students, and they were all laughing. The sound was a physical blow, a wave of ridicule that knocked the air from my lungs. And there, in the middle of them all, was Maya. She wasn't laughing, not exactly. She had her hand over her mouth, her eyes wide, but she didn't stop them. She didn't say a word. She just watched. And in her silence, I found a deeper betrayal than in all their laughter combined. And I ran. I don't remember my feet hitting the ground. I just remember the sound of their laughter chasing me, a pack of hyenas at my heels. I ran without thinking, without direction, just away. I found a door, a janitor's closet, and I threw myself inside, slamming the door shut. I slid down to the floor, my body shaking with sobs I couldn't control. And then, a click. They had locked me in. I screamed until my throat was raw. I banged on the door until my fists were bruised and bloody. But no one came. The school emptied. Night fell, and I was alone, trapped in the dark with nothing but the stench of bleach and my own humiliation. And days blurred into a hellish haze of thirst and hunger. My mind started to play tricks on me. I saw their laughing faces in the shadows. I heard Maya's name whispered on the stale air. I was dying. I knew it. And in a strange, terrifying way, I almost welcomed it. And then my hand, scrabbling weakly in the darkness, touched something. It was cold, metallic, and it wasn't a bottle of cleaner. It was a crystal, a multifaceted object that seemed to drink in the darkness and radiate a soft blue light. As I touched it, a jolt, not of electricity but of pure information, shot up my arm and exploded in my mind. Words, symbols, and a voice, cool and clinical, echoed in the silent theater of my skull. Stepping Inichielijing. Host compatibility 98.7. Welcome, USER. My vision flickered and then sharpened into something new. Floating in the air next to the dusty mop in the corner were words. Record-elect mop, level 1, HP 1010. I looked at my own hand. Level 1, HP 507, status, starvation, dehydration, severe mental trauma. I wasn't dying from a prank. I was dying in a video game, and I had just found the tutorial. The voice, the Shistum, as it called itself, was my only companion in that tomb. It was emotionless, a stark contrast to the storm raging inside me. It gave me my first quest, a simple one. Your issue quest issued survive. Objective, find a source of water. Reward 10 EXP, 1 stat point. Water in a janitor's closet. It was a cruel joke. But then my new vision picked up a faint blue glow from a pipe running along the wall. Khajaj copper pipe. Level Tra, HP 150. Structural weakness detected. I didn't have much strength, but the system showed me how to use what I had. I found a heavy-duty wrench on a shelf. A wristed wrench. Level 2, damage 5/8. I swung it with everything I had left, aiming for the spot the system highlighted. The clang was deafening. My arm screamed in protest, but on the third swing, the pipe groaned and then burst. A trickle of rusty, foul-smelling water leaked out. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Slimchick quest complete. Reward 10 EXP, 1 stat point. Level up. You are now level 2. The water tasted like metal and decay, but it was life. As I drank, a warm energy spread through my body, mending the worst of the damage. The system prompted me to allocate my stat point. I put it into strength. I didn't want to be weak ever again. My new life began in that closet. Days were spent completing quests the system generated. Break down the wooden shelf. Create a makeshift tool. Endure 1 hour of complete silence. Each task gave me EXP, stat points, and sometimes new skills. I poured everything into strength and endurance. I broke down every object in that room, my body growing harder, my fists like stone. I was a prisoner, but I was also in the most intense training camp imaginable. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a new quest appeared. Hey Yo Mind quest issued Escape the Tome. Objective, break down the door. Reward 100 EXP. Skill, Arise Power Strike. I looked at the solid oak door that had been my prison. Reinforced oak door level dis. HP 2000. A week ago, it was an insurmountable barrier now. It was just another obstacle. Just another boss to defeat. And I didn't have the Power Strike skill yet. I had to earn it. I pulled back my fist, channeling every ounce of my new strength, every drop of my rage and humiliation into a single point, and I punched the door. The sound wasn't a bang, it was an explosion. I stepped out of the closet and into an empty, silent school. It was the middle of the night. I was free. I was also different. I looked at my reflection in a classroom window. The fat boy was gone. In his place was a stranger with hard eyes and a body honed by desperation. I was level 8. Going home was strange. My parents had reported me missing. There was a brief, tearful reunion, a flurry of questions I couldn't answer. I told them I ran away, that I was staying with a friend. It was a flimsy lie, but they were so relieved to have me back they didn't push it. The world outside my closet hadn't changed, but I had, and the system was still with me, a constant presence in my mind. Returning to school was the real test. The whispers still followed me, but now they were different. Is that Ethan? What happened to him? I walked through the halls, and the students who once mocked me now looked away, intimidated by the cold intensity in my eyes. I was no longer a target. I was an anomaly. And then I saw her, Maya. She was standing by her locker, and when she saw me, her eyes widened. She took a step towards me, her mouth opening as if to say something. The old Ethan, the weak Ethan, would have frozen, his heart aching, but the new Ethan just looked at her, and the system helpfully provided her stats. Maya, level due, HP 120, status conflicted guilty. I felt nothing, no anger, no love, no pain, just emptiness. I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there with her unspoken words. Life fell into a new routine. School by day, training by night. The system gave me quests that pushed my limits. Okay? Run 10 kilometers in under an hour. Lift twice your body weight. Master the Euro's Power Strike skill. My stats climbed steadily. Strength, endurance, agility. I was becoming something more than human. But the system also started giving me new information, ominous hints about the future. Russia warning, anomaly detected. Mana density is increasing globally. Prepare for the great change. The school field trip was supposed to be a normal, boring affair. A week of camping in the Blackwood National Forest. Tents, campfires, bad food. I only went because it was mandatory. As we drove into the forest, I felt a strange energy in the air, a prickling on my skin. The system was going haywire. Russia warning, high concentration of hostile energy detected. User is advised to remain on high alert. The first 2 days were uneventful. I kept to myself, completing small quests from the system like chop firewood with a single axe swing for agility points. But on the third night, the screams started. It wasn't human. It was a roar, a guttural sound of pure rage and hunger that shook the entire campsite. My body moved before I even thought. All my training, all my pain, it all came to a single point of focus. I saw the bear rear up, its massive claws ready to descend on a teacher. That mutated grizzly, level 5, HP 5000, danger level extreme. But I used chicken power strike. My fist, glowing with blue energy, slammed into the bear's side. It wasn't enough to kill it, but it sent the 10-foot-tall monster stumbling back away from the teacher. It roared, not in pain, but in surprise, and then its glowing red eyes focused on me. Everyone was frozen in terror, watching. The bear charged me, a mountain of muscle and fury. I was faster. I dodged, weaved, and landed blows where I could, chipping away at its massive health bar. But it was too strong. Its claws grazed my arm, and the pain was immense. Sur HP 250%, status bleeding. It was toying with me. And then, through the chaos, I saw her, Maya. She had tripped and fallen, and the bear, seeing an easier target, turned from me and charged at her. There was no time to think. No time for old wounds or bitterness. I did the only thing I could. I ran, faster than I ever had, and I tackled the bear. Not to hurt it, but to change its direction. The impact was like hitting a brick wall. The world became a blur of fur, teeth, and pain as we both went tumbling, away from the campsite, over the edge of a small cliff, and into the darkness of the forest below. We landed with a crash that I felt in every bone of my body. The bear, cushioned by its bulk and my body, recovered first. But the fall had not been without consequence. It landed hard on a sharp, upturned rock. The system flashed a new notification. Raj mutated grizzly, HP 2100 5000, status weakened, impaled, vital point exposed. This was my chance. My only chance. It was a brutal, primal fight. Just me and the monster in the heart of the darkened woods. It swiped and I dodged. It roared and I struck. I channeled all my power, all my points and strength into my fists, aiming again and again for the weak point where the rock had pierced its hide. My knuckles broke. My body screamed, but I didn't stop. With a final desperate roar, the bear reared up for one last attack. But it was too slow. I ducked under its swipe, gathered all my remaining energy, and drove my fist, a glowing spear of blue light, deep into its wound. There was a moment of silence, and then the massive beast shuddered, its red eyes flickered, and it crashed to the ground, dead. Oh, I collapsed next to the corpse of the monster, my body spent. And then my vision was filled with notifications, a flood of them. Raj mutated grizzly. Level 25 defeated. Massive EXP gained. Ohio's level up. You are now level 12. Rajas level up. You are now level 13. Hello everyone's level up. You are now level 14. It didn't stop until I hit level 20. A warm healing light pulsed through me, mending my broken bones, sealing my wounds. And then a new message from the system. A chilling one. Russia's first great beast defeated, the change has now accelerated. The invasion protocol has begun. User, you must grow stronger. The world is no longer what it was. It took me hours to find my way back to the campsite. When I emerged from the tree line, battered and torn but alive, the scene was one of stunned silence. The other students and teachers, huddled together, just stared. They looked at me, then at the blood and grime covering me, and then back at my face. I was no longer just the boy who had changed. I was the boy who had fought a monster and won. And then a figure broke from the crowd. It was Maya. Her face was stained with tears. She ran to me, stopping just short of touching me. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. You saved me. I'm so sorry about everything." The old me would have shattered at those words. The old me would have forgiven her in a heartbeat, just to have her look at me again. But the old me died in that closet. I looked at her, at the girl I once thought was the sun, and I felt nothing. I turned away from her, from all of them, and looked up at the sky. The system was right. The world was changing. In the days that followed, news reports started trickling in. Strange animal attacks, unexplained phenomena, and then the first confirmed reports of others like me, people who had awakened powers. We were not alone. But as I looked at the stars, I knew that whatever was coming, it wasn't friendly. The bear was just the beginning. The tutorial was over, and the real game was about to begin.